are live. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. LSU versus Ole Miss recap. How did the Tigers, after the film breakdown, how did they go on a 42-3 run? We'll talk about all the positives. There were so many positives as LSU beat the Ole Miss Rebels 45-20. We will talk about that. Some things that they struggled with early, but as good coaching does, makes in-game adjustments. Brian Kelly, Matt House, and Mike Denbrock firing on all cylinders this past Saturday. Obviously, we know that they have the bye week this upcoming week, and then in 2 weeks, we'll face in prime time Saturday night in Death Valley. If you smell, it will be Saturday night in Death Valley as the Tigers will take on Alabama at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to get loud. It's going to get rowdy. And by the way, it is for the number one overall seed in the SEC West. It's going to be a good one. Well, speaking of those people in Alabama that don't have many teeth, we will look forward to them and talk briefly about Alabama, how LSU, what they can start doing in the bye week, some things that I've already seen that hopefully LSU can capitalize on. But we have two very strong weeks to look into them, and we will do that as much as we can. We're not going to talk a lot about them. We will talk some. Guys, listen, 2 weeks is a long time. It's a very long time indeed. So we'll talk on them throughout this week and next. Carter Bryant, the Power. Carter, the Power, joins us at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we will get to the SEC Week 8 and recap all of that. So let's get to a couple comments, though, before we get started, and let me make an announcement. Shout out to our good friends over at TuneIn Radio. We are live right now on TuneIn. So if you got the TuneIn app, go to Believe Sports Radio. If you want to hear your boy, you can. So shout out to our good friends over at Believe and our good friends over at TuneIn as your boys making moves up in this piece. We're making moves more than Screech on a chessboard. Maybe saying Screech on the show and making moves like him after what he did when he was on Saved by the Bell is not a good thing. But you get my gist. Jason Tabor sends us some stars via Facebook. Thank you so much. John Bellin says Makai Wingo had a game. He sure did. And Luckett says that's a way to get me laughing. If you're talking about Coach Prost, absolutely. Jack Davis says number 92 Wingo is the best transfer portal pickup after Jaden Daniels. Who would have thunk, huh? Hey, what's got two thumbs and thought that was the truth all along? This guy. Y'all love y'all some Jaden Daniels now, don't you, boy? Y'all love some Jaden Daniels now. I see some of y'all out there on the Twitter sphere saying Jaden Daniels for Heisman. Yeah, Pooh Bear says rest in peace to Screech. Yeah. Can't have never mind. Nope. Can't do this day one on the radio. Nope. Mm-mm. Can't talk about prostitutes. Nope. Mm-mm. Can't talk about how he really died. Royce Pierce, what's up, buddy? Sends us $20 via Super Chat on YouTube. We do have a poll on YouTube right now. Do you think the LSU Tigers beat Alabama in 2 weeks? But he says, experienced my first LSU SEC game Saturday. Whoa. All righty then. Says, wow, just wow. It was amazing. Hell of a game I got to experience. Go Tigers. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. As my sister is FaceTiming me live on the radio right now. Hello, sister. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We're doing good. You're calling me during work, though.
Sorry, dude. Sorry.
Check your boy out on Facebook. I'll call you in an hour.
All right. I'm out there.
All right. Are you serious? All right. You call me, you FaceTime me during the show, we're going to answer and put you on blast. But Royce, thanks for the super chat, buddy, and congrats to you for experiencing your first game. Mark Spell says Bama can STT DB. Godly, man, y'all are really making me you're pushing the limit. Our first day on radio officially. John says JD5 is the Ryan Perrilloux we wanted. Man, it's just so wild to hear the fan base behind JD5 right now. If you missed it, though, we did post Jayden Daniels' stats over the last two games. Guys, he's absolutely killed it. He has absolutely killed it these last 2 weeks. You got to give it to him, man. You got to give it to JD5 and everything that he's been doing really and truthfully over the last 3 weeks. But, people don't want to talk about that. But if you did miss it, let me pull it up here very quickly before we get rolling. I'm going to share my screen right quick, Pooh Bear. But these are Jayden Daniels' stats if you've missed it. Jayden Daniels has gone 44, and I'm sorry for those who can't see this on the radio, but nevertheless, we're going to read them out to you. Jayden Daniels over the last 2 weeks is 44 of 60, 73% completion percentage, 597 yards, 5 TDs, no interceptions, 37 rushes, 165 yards, 4.46 yards per carry, and 6 tutties. I mean, dude, he's absolutely destroying the game. He's absolutely destroying it. So you got to give your hat off to Jayden these last 2 weeks, giving just really LSU a pulse. Kevin Dixon says, Blake, is your sister 18 and kind of with it? First off, I am the youngest of 4, and second off, no, my sister is not with it. I don't know what that means. Pooh Bear, what does he mean? I don't know what he means. No, you can't date my sister. I don't care who you are. Maybe, she might be still in the chat somewhere. I don't know. I think this is her here. Carrie, yep, this is my sister here. She says, it's your sister again, this time on live. There you go. There you go. Minimize my chats. What do you mean? Let me know. What did I do wrong? I don't know what I did wrong. Oh, that's why you don't produce your own show, people. That's why you don't produce your own show. That's why you got to have handy-dandy people with you. Oh. Yeah, that's why you don't produce your show. That's why you can't do it. Otis says, what radio station are you on? We will be on TuneIn, so go to the Believe side of things and you'll see it. Blaine Smith says, Baskerville is playing at a high level, very high level. Man, you got to look, what's crazy is, and been a crazy development over the last couple of weeks, or last couple of years, really. Look at what LSU's done at linebacker. Guys that have gone into the NFL draft and really made names for themselves going into their senior year. Obviously, we know about Damone Clark last year. Then you got Baskerville. Then you got Queen. Man, it's just been absolutely unreal at that position, the one guy that's been standing out. And now you have guys like Harold Perkins. I thought Greg Penn, although he had one really, really bad miss on a crossing route that Ole Miss gave to him, I thought, guys, in the running game, you cannot replace him. I'm very much sold on him in the running game. He's got to get better in the pass coverage, but I think that he will. All right, last one, then we'll get to the break. Zay Witt says Blake has been saying for the longest that Perkins was different. He was not lying. He's been different, man. He's a game changer. Harold Perkins, look, the one, if not only complaint that I've had, you do have to find ways to get him involved, but you can't, and Brian Kelly's dead right when he says this, you cannot put him on the inside. When like guys like Carter or myself or people who watch film religiously, when he was inside, at times they were running it right at him. Let him rush the passer. Let him be on the outside. That's where he affects the game the most until he can get stronger, more experience on how to get around those blocks et cetera, et cetera. But you got to keep number 40 in the game at all times. They were even times taking out BJ Ojulari. Then they found their comfort zone getting both of them on the field at the same time. So Alabama's going to have to expect that because LSU doesn't have a choice. They're going to have to continue to do that. All right, let's get this thing rolling. Everybody do us a favor. So many of you are watching us live right now on Facebook. Do us a favor. Hit the like and share. Share to all of those Facebook groups, those LSU Facebook groups. Share to your own social media pages. We greatly appreciate you doing that. If you're listening to us on YouTube, there's a poll up. Vote on the poll. We're giving away $300. You don't have long. You have about a week to get this done. If we get to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, one lucky subscriber will get 300 bones. We might give it to 2 people if we're able to get there sooner rather than later. So if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. If you're listening to us on the TuneIn app or you listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, rate, review, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We greatly appreciate it. And before we do get to the break, I got to give a shout out to our newest sponsor over here at AYS, Synergy Resources LLC. We are happy to announce our brand new partnership with the good folks over at Synergy Resources, your hydraulic and industrial hose connection team. Check them out at synergyresllc.net. That's synergyresllc.net, or give Tully a call today at 337-552-1919. That's 337-552-1919. Let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by, and they do it all around the entire Gulf Coast. Guys, I trust them with everything that we're doing. You know that when we bring someone on the team that they have our full trust. So give them a call today again at the number we just provided. All right, Pooh, let's do this. Let's get to our first break. Guys, we got a lot to break down here. What LSU did right last weekend going on that 42-3 run. Also, that can and maybe very likely can translate into Alabama in 2 weeks, Saturday night in Death Valley. But we'll talk about that after the break. Guys, we'll be back in 1 minute. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varnado & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varnado & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. So listen, everybody do us a favor, hit the like and share if you're just joining us. But let's get this thing started, y'all. Kevin Dixon says Joe Sizzle saying JD5 better than Burrow. Stop. Y'all need to stop. I like Jayden Daniels a lot. Stop it. Y'all, come on, dude. Come on. Hal Jubin, nope, wrong person. LSU Sports Fanatics says Perkins could be our best running back too if he wanted. It's very true. Very, very, very true. I think he could too. Pooh Bear, you can bring that comment up. I can't find it. Barrett Granger. Oh, go ahead. Edo says props to JD for the last 2 weeks. He did exactly what I had been wanting to see from him. Said that it took 6 weeks. Edo, with all due respect, brother, it's funny that you guys do stuff like that, like the backhanded compliments. Like you didn't say that. Did you say that about Burrow? No, you didn't. What happens is some people run and cower when somebody comes at them and says that you're wrong. Guys, I come on this show all the time and talk about where I'm wrong. Take it. You're going to be wrong if you talk a lot about sports. Get over it. Get over it. 571 straight episodes have taught me. Get over it. Jesus Christ. The backhanded compliments, man. The kid could damn near go perfect, and you're still going to bitch, whine, and complain. Bear Granger says, Greg Brooks, INT changed the game. Yeah, Joe Fuchsia had the one in the end zone, but you're right. That did change the game. So let's start there. Look, what are some things that did happen? Look, LSU, I said this, I think, 3 or 4 weeks ago whenever they played Auburn. My description or my thought or my process was that it's a lot like Rocky 3, right? Like you keep getting beat up. You kind of got to find your swagger again. In comes maybe a guy that was a rival that nobody, some people didn't really like. He comes in, he takes over your training camp, a.k.a. Apollo Creed, a.k.a. Brian Kelly. He takes over it. The culture starts changing. LSU's just a fighter, man. They go down 17-3. They never stop punching. The crazy thing about LSU, for those first 6 weeks that Eduardo talked about, everybody said that LSU doesn't have an identity. Well, they have an identity offensively now. Guys, they ran the ball 48 times for over 200 yards. That is an identity. Jane Daniels, zone read, RPO sprinkled into that. Small little quick screens. They are getting the ball out to their playmakers. They're taking shots. I saw the stat that LSU released to people that, oh, well, Jane didn't take any, and some people were like, well, Jane didn't take any shots. They gave the projections of where Jaden had the most success at these pockets and this and that. And the deep passes, he only had one that it was shown to Jeray Jenkins, the one that was the touchdown this past Saturday. But, oh, how we forget the shot to Bryant Thomas Jr., that was a pass interference. The shot to Malik Neighbors, that was a pass interference on both sides of the same end zone, but on different pylons. Guys, they're hitting on all cylinders. And regardless of what we think, believe, whatever, this offense is finding their rhythm. Has it taken them some time? Sure. And I'm okay with that. But if you would have told me this, if you would have told me in the offseason that at the bye week, LSU goes into the Alabama game tied for the SEC West lead, that they will play Alabama to see who can win the SEC West, sign me up. Now, maybe it's not what we thought it was going to be. Maybe it wasn't the way that we looked at it. Maybe we didn't think we would lose to Florida State. Maybe we didn't think we would lose to Tennessee the way that we did. The truth is, you didn't lose to Tennessee as bad as some people think. When you break that game down, and as Brian Kelly alluded to in the post-game press conference, guys, we could have kept that game close. And Brian Kelly's so right when he says this. He's not in the business of keeping games close. He wants to win them, and that, and that's what happened in Tennessee, against Tennessee. But look, as we sit here on a Monday, October the 24th, you can beat Alabama. Is it going to be very tough? Yep. They're a damn good team. Don't let what the national media tells you about Alabama or your soft beliefs about Alabama make you believe that they're not a good team. Guys, they're a really, 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 really good team. The thing is that you can beat them. You can beat them. Speaking of the fighter that we were just talking about, going back to another Rocky reference, if they are Ivan Drago, the man can bleed. The man can bleed. You can beat them. It's going to take a Herculean effort. You can't have the mistakes that you had. And let me tell you this, you can't go down 17-3 against them. I know sometimes players want to go home during the bye week. There are some things I'm hearing that some of the players and the starters aren't going home during the bye week. They know what this game means. Brian Kelly will be out on recruiting. Sounds good. Players will be here ready to go. That's what you want to hear. Hey, remember the last time the players didn't go home during a bye week? Because I remember. The interesting thing is even in this win, you know, we talked about this a lot Saturday morning in the SEC show. We talked about this Thursday on our last LSU show before the game. Don't tell me anymore that Brian Kelly can't win the big game. Blake, you were favored. Vegas said you were favored. Yeah, they don't like losing money. The number 7 team in the country came into Death Valley, and quite honestly, cheeks clapped, cheeks all night long. All night long. Players need a standing ovation. Coaching staff needs a standing ovation. Because it didn't take LSU until halftime to make adjustments. It didn't take Matt House until halftime to make adjustments. It took him a quarter. Matt House knew once he saw Jay Ward absolutely demolish Jackson Dart, and then when Jaquelin Roy fell on him and knocked the wind out of him, he knew that he was broken. All that Matt House continued to do is on 2nd and 3rd down, he went after Jackson Dart. Micah Baskerville was hitting him religiously. Baskerville hit him, meaning Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback. That led to a Joe Fouché interception. If you go back and watch the play, Jackson Dart's on his back foot, just throwing it out there, praying to sweet baby Jesus above. Oh, dear God, 8 pound, 6 ounce newborn baby Jesus. Please don't let Mr. Fouché intercept that pass. And one-handed reeled it in. I hate to say this. Actually, I don't hate to say it. Quite honestly, in year 1 under Brian Kelly, I can't believe I'm saying it. We're back. Let me play this again. LSU fans. We're back. It is what it is. Guys, you will be going into week 10 fighting for the SEC West crown. You may lose the game, but now the floor is not 7-5, 6-6. The floor now is 8-4. It's 8-4. That's the absolute floor. This team can be 9-3. You can beat Arkansas. You can easily beat UAB. You can beat Texas A&M. And God bless it if Brian Kelly in year 1 goes to a New Year's Six bowl and gets a 10th win. Guys, it'll be if he's able to pull this off, and we'll wait and see. It'll be 6 straight seasons that Brian Kelly has 10 wins. And the offense doesn't look like it's slowing down. Going into the game, or going back and talking about the game, guys, LSU has an identity. They're running the football and taking shots and getting the ball out to their playmakers. Multiple times getting quick screens to Malik Neighbors. That new little wrinkle they have in the running game where they're pitching it out to Armani Goodwin and letting him use his speed to get to the edge. And you know what? I got to give a massive shout out to Kayshon Boutte. Let me tell you what I don't care about. Let me back up. I do care about it, but it doesn't bother me. Kayshon Boutte had 2 drops when I went back and watched the game. 2 drops. But you know what he didn't do? On Kayshon Boutte's last drop of the game, the very next play, LSU would throw a quick screen to Malik Neighbors. It would go for 14 yards. Kayshon Boutte was downfield blocking his ass off. That is leadership. That is buying in. Guys, quite honestly, that's Brian Kelly. If you go back and watch the game, look, man, wide receivers blocking downfield has been astronomically fantastic for what they're trying to accomplish in the quick game. You do not accomplish what you're trying to accomplish with lazy play. Do you remember the Mason Taylor little quick out route or quick little route out in the flat going up the sidelines? You know who sprung that? He wears number 7. His name is Booty. Jeray Jenkins. You have buy-in on this team. A year ago, you had no idea that Brian Kelly was going to be your head coach. Ed Orgeron had already been fired. Don't see the national media talking that shit now, do they? Or do you? It's funny because, I see people like Big Game Boomer. I see people like Lane Kiffin trying to troll Brian Kelly for the Danny Lewis recruiting video. Lane, are you laughing now? Hey, Kiffin, are you laughing now? Are you trying to troll Brian Kelly now? Because the last time you did something like this, when you did it to Nick Saban, he clapped your cheeks. You did it to Brian Kelly, he clapped your cheeks. Maybe it's time you stop going your stupid ass on Twitter and start playing the game. Because when you go after coaches like Nick Saban, when you go after coaches like Brian Kelly, they beat your ass. That's what happens. A brief look into Alabama. Guys, you scored 90 points the last 2 weeks. If you remotely have the same level of success offensively that you've done the last 2 weeks, guys, there's a very strong possibility you come out with a W. But you got to be able to do it. Couple more before we get to Carter Bryant, who'll be joining us in about a minute. Let me say this. There should be an apology letter from LSU fans to the following coaches. Brad Davis sits on top of that list. Remember how everybody talked about how, Brad Davis isn't as good as we thought he was. You hadn't said it recently, have you? What you have to do sometimes is you got to be a little bit patient. Would you rather be Oklahoma? Would you rather be Oklahoma? Would you rather be Texas? Guys, first-year head coaches rarely have tons of success. Brian Kelly is having success. There's a reason why he kept Brad Davis. Guys, the offensive line is coming together, and it's only going to continue to get better. You have recruits like Lance Hurd that are coming in. Tyree Adams, who quite honestly, maybe in the state of Louisiana, is having the best overall senior season that we've seen in an offensive lineman in this state in a long time. Guys, I watched Tyree Adams' film more than I care to probably say on this show. They're going to continue to get better. Another part of this apology letter, and it can be issued by me. Charles Turner, please come to the front. Charles Turner is playing really, really well, guys. Really, really, really well. All to the foundation that Brian Kelly's building. Okay, let's get to a couple comments, and then Carter Bryant should be joining us soon. My dog needs to hurry his crazy ass up, though. Needs to hurry up. All right, let's see. Bear Granger says, y'all get off Ed. It's getting ridiculous. I don't know what's going on in the comments. You can't make underhanded comments, though, man. You can't make underhanded comments. I don't know what's going on. Zach, Pooh Bear, monitor the chat. I have no idea what's going on. James Fortenberry on YouTube says, #AskBlake, do you think Coach Prime comes to the SEC next year? I think that's a good question. I don't know. You should listen. Maybe, Pooh Bear has his show in the HBCU hour on Wednesdays. Maybe you can ask them. Look, they're not going to. Pooh Bear's not going to agree with me on this, or Ant. Do I think he goes to SEC next year? I don't know. Do I think he leaves Jackson State within the next 2 years? Yes. Yes, because I think what's going to happen is, look, kind of what's already happening. College game day going to Jackson State. Somebody's going to offer Dion an ungodly amount of money. I know that he's there to do this and to do for the HBCUs more than than money, and I understand that. But at what point does Dion make the leap? I do believe Dion makes the leap. When he makes the leap, I don't know. I don't know. Carter, we can't see you. If you can hear us, Carter, we can't see you. All right, a couple more, and then we'll try to get to Carter. Coon ass corn dog on Facebook says Charles Turner is playing his ass off. He really is. He really is. Boogie Season says hashtag Ask Blake. Do you think Bryce Young is 100%? I don't think anybody in the SEC at this point is 100%. Like I don't think that anybody's 100%. Is he playing well enough to where LSU can win? I don't know. All right, let's get to this. Let's get to our good friends over at Gramco, thegramco.com. We will return with Carter, the Power, Bryant when we return. Guys, I've got to talk to you about our good friends over at Gramco. They are the Delta 8 company based out of the state of Florida. They're founded by college football junkies just like you and I am not sure if you're familiar with Delta 8, but you need to be. Gramco is the absolute leader in this field, and they have phenomenal products that I just need to tell you about. First off is the Wake and Bake coffee that is absolutely spectacular. The gummies are as well, as they're the best in the market. So go to thegramco.com right now and use the promo code AYS25. That's thegramco.com, AYS25 promo code to get 25% off of your order. Jump on this fast as it is perfect for holidays, anniversaries, and everyday use. Gramco is hemp-derived and completely legal inside of the state of Louisiana. No medical card is needed, and shipping is very discreet. You must be 21 years older to order. Again, that's thegramco.com. Use that promo code AYS25. Are you swatting mosquitoes or what?
No. Huh?
What are we doing here? Like, what are you trying to swat off those white women? What are we trying to do?
No, look,
you can take away the white women, but my God, do not take away my pork chops. That's all I got to say.
No, my fiance's sister tore her rotator cuff. So I am dealing with that, but just out here supporting baby. But I got to tell you this, Blake.
Okay. Tell me, Carter.
We got ourselves a good tackle football team, baby. Are you? So, I'm going to be as clear as I possibly can. So before the season began, you and I had a phone conversation about what we thought LSU's final record would be. And look, college football's random, right? Like, Missouri lost a game to Auburn earlier in the year that, the running back just held onto the ball through the goal line. They win. They win. So college football's random, right? But I honestly thought with the way that the roster was, that LSU was at best an 8-4 team. If every ball bounced your way, they were a 9-3 team. But here's what's really interesting about this, Blake, is this is a sign of a bold coaching staff. This is a sign of a coaching staff who is willing to change things up. It is crazy. And I want everyone to take this in right now and really think about this. It is wild how different the roster looks now and how different it looked versus Florida State. And how different it looked during the spring game, right? And what that tells me, Blake, is Brian Kelly's done a really good job of seeing things that aren't working and quickly moving on to things that actually do work, right? And that's the sign of a good coaching staff, because right now LSU should not be a 6-2 team, and they are. And you give BK and that staff a lot of credit.
Yeah. So listen, Carter, I said this just a minute ago. I want to get your thoughts on this. I think the floor now is 8-4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's crazy is where we thought that they'd be, you can beat Arkansas, right? Like you can beat UAB. God bless it. You're more than likely going to beat Texas 4-8. My question is, Carter, is this: hypothetically, if let's just take the Alabama game out, and let's say you do have 3 losses, but you run the table after that. Just don't want to get into the argument at the current moment. Brother, if he gets this LSU roster, Brian Kelly gets this LSU roster to 10 wins, Carter, watch out, because they're only going to get better, brother. They're not going to be taking steps back. That is the thing to me that gives me the chills. What about you?
Same thing here, Blake. And look, if he were to do that, he would win Coach of the Year in most years. But, it's got to go to Josh Heupel if they continue to do what they're doing right now. And you give Clark Lee a lot of credit, getting Vanderbilt competitive this year. But, yeah, I mean, Blake, just from top down, it's just amazing what he's done. And, look, there was a lot of true freshmen playing, and that's actually a good thing because – let's just take a guy like DeMario Tolan, who's shot himself up the depth chart, right? That's a guy who's going to be a starter, hopefully, in a championship run, maybe next year or the year after that. So, look, coaching is really difficult, and it's just amazing how different the transformation was from where LSU was last year to where they are now.
It's a complete 180, Carter, really and truthfully.
And Blake, you know me, right? You know that I'm not, just sunshine pumper.
You're the opposite. You try to look at the worst to try to see the better.
Yeah, right. You start from a skeptical point of view, right? You start from there to where you are now. And look, I mean, all the way down to special teams, right? Things are starting to get, shored up a little bit. And look, that's a sign of a good coaching staff. I'll tell you this, Ed Orgeron would not have this team 6-2 right now. A lot of coaches wouldn't have this team 6-2 right now. And yeah, you can make a case that, the Auburn game, you had the ball bounce your way in that game, and you had a few other things, go your way. But that's a sign of a gritty coaching staff. That's a sign of a gritty team. And, Blake, you look at this game versus Ole Miss, obviously that's the third game where LSU's come back from 2 possessions down and they win. We all saw what they did versus Auburn. We all saw what they did versus Mississippi State. But it is very interesting, right? Like, Jaden missed throws early in the game, and they still came back and won the game comfortably. So that tells us something else about, let's say, someone like Jaden Daniels. He's a quarterback that gives you a high floor, right? He doesn't give you the absolute highest ceiling, because if he did, he would be, the absolute best thrower of the football there is. But the good thing about Jaden Daniels being the quarterback of your team, and look, in the film study, I'm sure a lot of people have watched it. We have a lot of crossover viewers. Yeah, there were some throws that he missed early on that, especially on the first drive, that you would like to see him complete. But this is the simple truth, Blake. He doesn't turn the football over, and he is a truly, not great, but transcendent runner of the football.
No, I think you could say great, Carter. I mean, I think you can say great. From a speed perspective?
Yeah, but he's transcendent. He is transcendent running, like as good as it gets as a runner. And yes, so even better than great. Transcendent. He's one of like he's closer to Cam than he is like everybody else when it comes to running. Not overall quarterback play, but
he's closer to Lamar than Danny Etling.
Right, exactly. Because normally, when people
God respect Danny Etling.
Yeah. But here's what a lot of people did early in the year, Blake. They said, well, they compared Jaden Daniels a lot to Jordan Jefferson, right? And they're nowhere close to the same, because Jordan wasn't close to being that level of a runner that Jaden is. He is truly slippery. He is amongst the SEC's best at breaking tackles, for anybody, Blake. I'm not just talking about quarterbacks. I'm not just talking about wide receivers or running backs or tight ends or whatever it may be. He breaks a lot of tackles, and it shows, right? If you're a tired defense, it is really tough, and it's a very unique challenge. So, with Jaden at your quarterback, yeah, against Alabama, you're probably going to hope that he can make a few of the throws that he missed early versus Ole Miss. But his running ability is truly transcendent, and it wins LSU a lot of games.
Carter, I said this, and listen, I'll just advise our listeners what me and you both do. I'll break down the film, then I'll watch yours, and we'll come together on things that we saw and talked about. The one thing that I think is the most like nobody's talking about, bro, the wide receivers blocking in the running game and on the screen game is absolutely ridiculous. I said this. I want your thoughts on this. I am okay, not fine, just okay. I am okay with a Kayshon Boutte drop or two of them. If you're going to throw a screen to Malik Neighbors and he's blocking a dude 14 yards down the field for a first down, they are exceptional right now. The last 2 weeks, wide receivers blocking down film. When you watch film, that's such an unwritten thing that nobody talks about. When you watch it, how just great have they been at that?
Blake, this past weekend versus Ole Miss, that was the best. I mean, the absolute best since 2019 LSU. I've seen LSU wide receivers and tight ends block. I get
Mason Taylor, dude, to even throw him in there. It's ungodly how good that young man's becoming.
And he was a horrible blocker. I mean, he was. And then this past weekend, he was amazing. He looked like Kittle. I mean, it was that good. It was that freaking good. And I saw Ant comment, "Are you at a haunted house?" I am, man. How did you know? No,
he's going to steal Saban's soul,
right?
Steal that short bastard soul.
No, I am out in the boonies though. But that's the thing. I never miss this segment. This is my favorite time of the week, man. But look, you're right, Blake. And what we do sometimes as football fans is we just think of blocking as just an offensive line thing. It's an everybody thing. Everybody's got to block outside of the quarterback, right? And even sometimes they have to block. And look, you're right, Blake. I was kind of shocked. And you give Cortez Hankton a lot of credit because last year under, Mickey Joseph, they were not a good blocking unit. They missed a lot of blocks. And this past weekend was by far the best I've seen it. Now, you do give the coaching staff a lot of credit when it comes to that. But honestly, it's the players want to. Blocking is a thing that you want to do. That is something that you got to buy into doing. It is something that honestly does require a lot of effort because, look, the receivers, they're all great. They know that they could be number ones on other teams and they would get all double-digit targets somewhere else. But they're still buying in and getting out there and putting their bodies on the line for this team. It honestly is a really good thing to see. And once again, I'm not sunshine pumper, but when you see those little things, Blake, those little things, that means that everybody's starting to believe into what Mike Denbrock is telling them, believe into what Matt House is telling them, and most importantly, believe what Brian Kelly is telling them. And when you do those little things, it goes a long way.
Carter, this is what geeks me out. Okay, it's not necessarily the blowout win because that does. It's the fact that you hear stories like Kayshon Boutte running up to Brian Kelly saying, "Hey, coach, listen, I want you to talk about how great the defense played in this, after the second quarter and picked us up." Carter, that it's foundation laying, and so I think that now everybody around the country is just starting to see what Brian Kelly's doing. And when you have Kayshon Boutte doing that, it's absolutely amazing. Let me get your thoughts on this, too. The defense, after the second quarter, only giving up 3 points, or really 6 points in the second quarter because there was an early field goal in the second quarter. Matt House starts sending pressure, and Jackson Dart just could not get away from it. when you broke down the film, what did you see the difference in the scheme defensively?
Yeah, Blake, it's important, like especially with defense, that you separate what you see from what the stat books tell you and what the
Agreed.
actual film tells you. Those are three completely different things. And one player who I think is not getting enough credit, and we see him in the stat book, leading LSU in tackles a lot, is Micah Baskerville. Look, it's like that chemistry right there. We got great chemistry, Blake. It's true, right? Because look, if Micah Baskerville's name was Damon Clark, and he wore number 18, and
his face would be plastered on everything LSU.
It would be Butkus Award. It would be all over the place. But it's narratives, right? It's part of it. And look, Micah Baskerville, missed a couple springs, and he started off. Well, he missed 2 springs ago, and then he started off third string, and he just, through a true meritocracy, worked his way up the depth chart because he's clearly LSU's best linebacker, and I'm saying like traditional off-ball linebacker. He's ridiculous, and it's time for us to put him in the Patrick Queen. It's time for us to put him in the, Perry Riley. Yeah. Yes. And it's not like, of course, it's hard to get to Devin White's level, but he's reached that next tier. The Kelvin Shepherds, the Kevin Minters of the world, he's playing that good, right? And look, this is a guy who, had to buy in, and obviously he did, and he's been LSU's best player defensively. And look, Harold Perkins deserves all the credit in the world because he did change everything. And, I'm a Harold Perkins guy, Blake. I was beating the drum for this kid for the longest, right?
No, you said he was a bust. Anyway.
I said it was a bust. But the simple truth is this. Micah Baskerville has been that good. And he's changing a lot of what LSU can do defensively. And, look, Greg Penn had a better game this past weekend, but, Baskerville, with everything that's changing around him, has consistently from, wire to wire here, been LSU's best linebacker. And to me, Blake, that just shows me a lot of character from that guy.
So let's go to Harold Perkins. Carter, I get what Brian Kelly says about putting him in the inside right now.
Right.
When there have been times that he's gone in the inside, teams have attacked him solely, and that I understand. Brian Kelly's not wrong there. He's 1,000% correct. The other problem with that Brian Kelly also addressed in his post-game press conference, he goes, guys, we're taking out B.J. Ojulari for Harold Perkins at points throughout the game. They got to find in 2 weeks how to get both 18 and 40 on the field at every given moment, right? They're going to have to find a way to scheme that open.
Yeah, and look, it gets into schematics as to how you do that. What I would say about that, though, is for the opposing coach to say what he said about Harold Perkins, that bit of specificity when, Lane Kiffin.
Call him just a number. Call him by his government name.
Right. The truth is Harold Perkins changed the game. And the one thing he does, if he's playing the jack role, right? Because what you have to do on a base down, if you will, is you have to take B.J. Ojulari out and put Harold Perkins in that role. While B.J. is the better pass rusher, Harold Perkins is the more complete player, right?
Agreed.
And what LSU did, just and you can go see the film study and get the full breakdown there. But what they did was they tightened their defensive alignment, and you give Ali Gay a lot of credit. It was also his best game. Obviously, we see
his LSU career.
It was really good. It was really good. And obviously, Mekhi Wingo played unbelievably as well, and he continues.
We'll go to him next. To him.
But Harold Perkins, what they did was they didn't always line him up on the line, and they had him spread out wide. And what that does, just in general, is it changes what you have to think about pre-snap as far as a play caller and a quarterback, right? The guy isn't just a static linebacker who isn't going to, fall back into coverage. So let's take one play. We probably all remember it. The holding penalty that B.J. Ojulari had on, Casey, the tight end.
The little trick play.
Yeah, right. So what well, not that one, the one earlier in the game. Whatever the case may be. What Harold Perkins does though is that he is more comfortable playing off the line. And it just gives you something a little bit more that you have to worry about. And something else that is very key. So, we all saw the iconic picture that Harold Perkins had of him just standing over Jackson Dart, staring into his soul, Blake. What was
As
really
you're outside a haunted house.
yeah, I was about to a haunted house. I'm trying to make sure I don't get shanked out here, but
At least it's live on
it's
if you
live,
get some
man.
murder.
I'm telling
Right.
you. But he was staring down at his soul. The funny thing about it was he made that play look a lot easier than it actually was, because
Most people fall down on that first miss.
most people do. I can assure you that as someone who was a pass rusher, I fell down every time if I missed a quarterback. Every time. I don't have those Shakira hips, man. I can't turn the
Your hips
corner.
don't lie, or your hips do lie.
My hips don't only lie; they give out.
Mm.
But Harold Perkins, the way that he was able to bend around the edge and still bring him down, viciously as well, it's different. Like, not many. He made that look a lot easier than what the actual play looked like. Another play that Harold Perkins made was, Lane Kiffin a few years ago in 2020 ran this running back screen where you leave the edge player unblocked. He tried to do that twice. Harold Perkins blew it up both times, and the first time was really the most impressive one, because not only was he able to disrupt the throw, he was able to get a hit on Jackson Dart by just barely touching him. And that shows the amount of power and the speed and the timing of everything. It's just sped up. And it's just those little things that he does that just changes everything that you want to do offensively. So I give Harold Perkins a lot of credit. He's special. He's everything that we thought he'd be, and even more.
The other guy that we don't talk about and had probably his best overall game on the stat sheet, not necessarily on the film, is Mekhi Wingo.
Yeah.
Carter, I mean, he's just your best interior defensive lineman at this point. It's not really close. I mean, the guy can play the run. We saw him with a 1.5 sacks. He closed the game out, moved all the way to the 5 technique, bull rushed a tackle and got the sack. What are you seeing in Mekhi Wingo? I mean, let me ask you another question. Is he an all SEC performer? Is he playing like one?
He's got to be. I mean, look, you think I tweeted this out earlier on Power Hour LSU. We think about all these great numbers at LSU, right? Think about number 1. You think about
baby
92, 92.
Frank Nevis, Chandler. Like, who else is the 92s? Who am I leaving out?
Neil Farrell.
Neil Farrell.
One. But here's a
Shout
deep
out
cut.
to 251 Pooh Bear. It's coming in the chat. I already know. Shout
I love
out
it.
to 251.
And Lewis Neal. You want to talk about Lewis Neal is a deep cut.
The no gloves, no wristbands, Lewis Neal.
Lewis Neal, undersized DL, who, I mean, I love me some Lewis Neal. And 92 has always just been an overachieving defensive lineman, right? And that's all Mekhi Wingo's doing. He's overachieving. Chris, I just saw his comment, pop up.
No missed tackles.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous how good he is. He's got great ball skills. He's great at batting the football down at the line of scrimmage. He reads screens well. He just reads the game so well. And he's well balanced. He's smart, very technically gifted. And it's crazy because, like, his Missouri film was good. It wasn't, like, great. His spring game actually was, kind of rough. But it is ridiculous how good this guy has been, right? He is really, really, really special. And look, he's like a Benny Logan out there. I mean, he's just making plays left and right. And, that's what the transfer portal can do. You get a Mekhi Gardner, you get a, Greg Brooks. It's just amazing how much that one rule has just changed the sport.
All right, a couple more. I'll get you out of here. Is there something we didn't cover that you saw that blew you away?
Yeah, special teams got better. I thought at the end of the game, there was a few special teams adjustments that I would have made. But overall, you give, Coach Poling a lot of credit for doing a better job with that unit. And then, just overall, BK just did such a great job coaching this game. And, he's had, in the 2 losses that LSU had this year, he objectively did not have the team ready to go, right? And it goes to show you how important it is to have the game plan set. And when the game plan doesn't work, make those changes and get better as the game moves on. Give Brian Kelly a lot of credit. And look, from the top down, Blake, this roster's just getting better. And you look at just this 2023 class, you already have a lot of hits. You already got a high hit rate. So that's good, for the future as well of LSU football. So that really excites me, and it really excites your viewers as well.
One last question around the SEC, and
Let's do it.
I'm going to ask you about Alabama.
Bama!
Can you take them down? Can they take them down? Do you think?
Yeah, they can. I mean, look, this is not a complete Alabama team. They're not as good as they used to be. Are they still top down the most talented team in the SEC? Yeah, probably so. Are they better than LSU? Yeah, probably so. But, both teams are coming off a bye. And honestly, I just don't think Nick's done really that great of a job coaching this team. I think a lot of what this year's team has been for Alabama, and I've watched a decent amount of Alabama football this year, is I do think this is the rare case where the quarterback is carrying Nick instead of Nick doing the opposite, right? I don't think people quite understand what all Bryce Young does pre-snap and post-snap for this team. Like, they don't have guys that can get open. And,
he's hitting the ball in the very tight windows that only quality NFL quarterbacks can make.
And the bottom line is, okay, so let's take the national championship game, if you will, right, from last year. Well, that was what that team looks like without Jamison Williams, right? And I think people forgot how many big-time plays Jamison Williams made in games that won them the game, in games that would have been close otherwise, right? Like last year versus Tennessee, Jamison Williams caught the big touchdown to blow that game wide open. Last year versus Arkansas, Jamison Williams late touchdown to make it a 2-possession game. Last year versus LSU, he caught, the big touchdown that made it a 2-possession game. We came back, made it close, whatever. They missed that game breaker. And defensively, they've had some really dominant, performances. Obviously, Braswell's a good player for them. But Will Anderson and Dallas Turner's the story of that team. And now, Blake, the fun begins.
Bingo. Say it.
Number 7, Elias Ricks.
Oh, okay. I thought. Go ahead.
No. Say what you were going to say.
I thought you were going to say after you said Dallas Turner and Will Anderson, you got the 2 freshmen. We're about to see what we got. And that's obviously, the big thing. So obviously, for those that very quickly, if Will Campbell and Emory Jones hold their own against those 2, Carter, you got a ball game.
You got a ball game. And something else. It goes back to what you astutely said earlier, Blake Frederick Theodore Rufino III. I didn't mean to say your full name, but there you go. I didn't mean
it's not Theodore, but okay.
That was a joke. I don't think anyone thought your name was Theodore.
You used to call me Blake from Nottingham, if you remember.
From Nottingham, from way back when. So here's something that's really good, and it's very, very, very important. The receivers, the tight ends, and the running backs all block better. Okay, at the end of the first half, Josh Williams blew 1 blitz assignment. Other than that, pass protection from the chips were really good.
That one Josh Williams had, the one that he decleated a guy, and then Emory just laid on him.
Yeah. If you chip well, trust me, LSU's receivers can get open. They'll get open. So, I feel better about LSU versus Alabama. I really, really, really do. And, something else, you say around the SEC. So this week, this has been crazy. On Power Hour SEC, my SEC channel, I had a video just go berserk, right? The Tennessee one. So this is funny. Every Tennessee fan thinks I'm an Alabama fan because I talked about one play that I thought was kind of questionable. But I was thinking about this earlier, Blake. Tennessee is about to make this the funnest college football playoff season we've ever had with 4 teams. there are so many different scenarios. Just because Tennessee beat LSU, that can happen, right? And you could be in a spot where 3 teams get into the playoff if a lot of things were to go their way. And something else that you have to keep in mind as an LSU fan is if you do win out, Gary Danielson brought this up at the end of the broadcast. Let's just say LSU does win out. Probably not going to happen. Very implausible, but it is plausible. If they do win out, there's no guarantee that they are for certain going to get in the playoff, especially since Tennessee blew us out.
You don't think if they win out, you don't think they'll put the SEC champion in?
That's where it gets crazy because look, if
They're
Tennessee,
putting the SEC champion in, you don't think?
yeah, no, because look, let's say Georgia beats Tennessee in a close game,
And LSU beats Georgia?
and LSU beats Georgia.
Oh, they're in.
Okay, so you're going to be telling Tennessee, who lost one close game, who blew LSU out in their building, you're going to tell Tennessee that they're not going to get in?
Well, but see, Carter, even if you do it with Alabama, right? Like even if Alabama wins out and Georgia beats Tennessee, I'm just going to tell you right now, outside of Ohio State, Tennessee's better than everybody else. They're better than Michigan. They're better than Clemson. They're better than USC. They're better than everybody else. I'm sorry. They look. I hate to say. Look, you know what's going to happen. This is the. I said this earlier or late last week. This is the best case scenario for the 12-team playoff committee.
It is. It
it's
is.
The best case scenario.
It is. And look, Blake, I hate it.
Look what you started. I'm having a baby next Wednesday. Look what you started. Blake Ducey says Blake's next kid better be named Theodore. Then you got my brother in here laughing his ass off, thinking, and then now you got Stephen Fry saying Theo Von Ruffino.
Theo Von. Hey, I like Theo Von. It's a good comic. I didn't like he was a Tennessee fan for a little bit. Now he's back to LSU. But I will say this, okay? Theo Von being in Tiger Stadium was great this weekend.
So was Drewski.
We got him. Drewski was there. And here's why Drewski was big, okay? Drewski was at the LSU Auburn game in the Plains. So we got to get Drewski back in Tigers. Whoever's out there, I'm going to be.
It's a Todd Graves thing.
Yes. So sell some Caniacs. Do whatever you can.
Well, it's a part of the NIL allure. Just sources. So
Drewski, I was wondering about that. Myself. I know someone close to them, and we need Drewski in Tiger Stadium. We got to have him. We got him. We got to have Drewski, man. Drewski's close with Zion. We got to have everybody in there, baby. Saturday night, Blake. Let's go.
Now you got Aunt Marshall saying Theodore Alvin Ruffino.
All
right. Carter, go take care of your sister-in-law. We will see you next week, good sir.
Let's go.
Hey, next week, Alabama. Who's going to be number one in the West? Look, Carter, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season we'd be battling for the first in the West during the bye week, I called you crazy. Later, dude.
Later, bud.
All right, that's Carter, the Power Bryant. My brother's in here. Love you, bro. Got to go. Proud of you. Thanks. And Marcia says, J.R. Belton doing work. What we do? We got some breaking news here? Oh, no. He is doing work. Maybe some of you should go and subscribe to the AYS message board and see the recruiting update as Desmond Ricks, the 5-star corner, has reclassified to 2023. All right, let's do this. Let's take our final break. Let's talk about our good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm. We close it out. Let's talk the SEC. Let's talk Bama. Next. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Foss and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. This Carter the Power Bryant says, thanks, everyone. Yeah, go subscribe to his Power Hour SEC channel, too. Let me just say this very quickly. I wanted to go around the SEC, but if you're on Twitter, if you have a pulse on Twitter, or you and follow sports on Twitter, I got to say this about my guy, Big Game Boomer, man. I don't want to go over Rufino's rants in the show, but I might. Guys, if I've said it once, I've said it on this show 1,000 times. Being a blue blood in college football does not mean jack shit when you kick that football off. It doesn't. Losing to Texas 49-0, if you're Oklahoma, means nothing. Saying it's childish that the student section ran down after LSU beat Ole Miss this past weekend. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma fan base, or student section, I should say, stormed the field when they beat Texas a season ago. We have the video clip. Like, bro, you have a hatred for LSU. You literally just said this on Twitter. Being a blue blood does not mean jack diddly shit when that football gets kicked off. It doesn't. And what is a blue blood? Right? Like, what does it matter? Nebraska's a blue blood doesn't mean that Northwestern in week 0 or week 1, whenever they played, didn't clap those ever-living cheeks. You're a blue blood at Oklahoma. Your cheeks got clapped by a mullet quarterback. It doesn't mean anything. Like, if you got a problem with LSU, sounds good. But to every Oklahoma fan that is listening to this and will listen to the audio breakdown or the clip that we'll have tomorrow morning, welcome to the SEC. You're going to wish you weren't in this conference, because it is a gauntlet. You think what Saban does is just easy? It's not easy. Welcome to it. You're going to need it. You're going to need it. But don't let your hatred judge your takes. Let me give you an example. I hate Texas A&M, but if you've ever listened to this show, or if you ever have listened to me in Twitter Spaces, I've talked about how I think that their defensive line is exceptional. Jimbo, I do not like Miami, but Miami's not good. But I'm not constantly bashing them at every waking moment. Eric Weinberger, a good friend over at Believe. Pooh Bear, you need to get to know him. Belichick just replaced Mac with Zappia. Or Zap. That kid's been playing pretty well. All right, last one. We're getting out of here. Chris Lomax says, hashtag Ask Blake, how about LSU defense shutting down their opponent in the second half once again? Yeah, man. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, look, man. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I'll say this to end the show. And he threw a TD, Pooh? Yikes. Oh, and before we get out of here, to all my Yankees fans, when I die, let the entire Yankees roster be my pallbearers so they can let me down one last time. I'm not rooting for the Astros. Go Phillies. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scouts.